As a sailor, Chris designed his waterfront cottage to complement its natural surroundings, while nestled under night skies only a true mariner could fully appreciate. But first, we'll visit Captain Val, whose saltbox-style home is rich in warmth and character. Built in 1917, it has been proven to be the seafarer's sanctuary she never knew she needed, where the water is enjoyed on her terms. Water, deep, flowing, mysterious, ever-changing yet constant, the inspiration of artists and adventurers. It's the foundation of life. We are drawn to it, to watch it, listen to it, immerse ourselves, and for those who choose, to live beside it.
I'm Valerie Doan, and I'm a captain, and I go to sea and sail around the world. My real estate person, she was also a schooner sailor, and so she knew what I was looking for on the water, and this came on the market suddenly. I got here before my real estate lady did. I looked in the window of the kitchen, and I'm like, this is it. Got in when she arrived. She said, you haven't seen the rest of the house yet. But I knew this is what I was looking for. It just had that feeling. I was waiting for that feeling of home. The waterfront, which was on my wish list. The fact that it had 56 acres was a winner. Having that land with its own water was important to me, especially these days. You know, if I needed to grow food or raise animals, I could. So just the location on the river, we're attached to the ocean. So I knew that I could have my boat here. I've actually brought my workboat from Caribbean and moored it in front of the house for a summer. I was so excited to have my own place finally. My stuff had lived in storage for years, all my artwork and my treasures from around the world, that I could finally set up and make it home. My house was built in 1917. When I first looked at the house, it was the kitchen that grabbed me. It was that farmhouse feel. It just felt like home. The heart of the home is the kitchen. That's where I do all my entertaining. Cheers. I have a bunch of friends from the yacht club and sailor girls and people up and down the river. There's a lot of interesting people in this neighborhood. And so I try to have a party every couple of weeks, and it seems to be just in the kitchen. I have a whole house, but everyone's crowded around the kitchen. And then the dining room, this dining room table, it's a Tanzanian sailing dhow, which they took apart and built by hand. They had no power tools and built this dining room table out of an old sailing ship. I love the sunroom the most because of the view. You can sit out here and just while hours away watching, in the summertime, the traffic, the boat traffic going up and down the river. And just the change in the seasons, the moodiness of the water. I just love that. I love being safe in my house when it's, you know, hurricane out there and I'm here. The library is full of all of my books and treasures that I've shipped from around the world that all have a great story to tell of sea adventures. And then when you go upstairs, you have my Tanzanian sailing dhow bed, which is a 4-poster. So the posts are the masts off the sailing dhows, which was shipped up here by Picton Castle, which is a local tall ship that is now on a world tour. The other bedrooms are all just little themes. One is the animal room of my horses, because I gave up horses for boats, couldn't afford both. So I have artwork from Australia, beautiful pieces that I loved. The best view in the house is from the loft windows. You're looking down on the river and you get a view above the trees. And then going up to the top floor, which was an old dark attic with black planks. And so the attic floors were a chore for them to sand by hand with hand sanders, hands and knees. And then put in the skylights to bring some light in. And it turned into this great little sanctuary that people love to be in. The favorite thing about the exterior of my house is my copper roof. I'm glad I made that choice. And I was tired of weeds, and so I decided to do a design element of gravel, colored gravel that is like a yin-yang kind of design. So the yin-yang design looks out to the river and the boathouse, and it's a nice setup in the summertime to sit out on the river, right on the water. So the fire pit kind of came about, again, trying to get rid of lawn that has weeds. And I was doing a mini Stonehenge with my fire pit design. It was rocks from the Blue Rocks area here. Another unique feature of the house is the wraparound deck that I added, because the house was, you know, just a square plain salt box. And I had this vision of this deck from 20, 30 years ago that I had drawn. And it wasn't until 10 years after I built the deck around that I found the picture that I had drawn 20 years ago. So we have a couple of ATVs, and we go back there and ATV the land. There's bike trails. There's some streams that run through the back. There's Pernette Lake that supplies the water that comes across our land. And it goes back about 2.5 kilometers. My mom and her husband came to visit and decided that they really liked it here. And so then they moved here. And then I eventually built the house up the hill so that they had their own place. When I'm out sailing on the river, you see my house and the house that I built behind, and the house next door, which is the original homestead, all framed. It's kind of a feeling of ownership. I like to relax in the sunroom. It's a great place to just sit and read. When I have free time, I'm usually working on something in the house. There's always maintenance to be done. The day seems to be eaten up by painting something or fixing something. Not a lot of just sitting around doing nothing. My friends and family love coming to visit. It's a retreat. I call it La Haven, Skipper's Retreat. And it's a place that people come to just hang out at the fire pit, or, you know, cooking and barbecuing, and, you know, I take them sailing. There's islands out down the river, and so it's a nice place to go and anchor overnight. And we do a beach barbecue, beach bonfire out on the islands, which is also fun. We have some great water-based activities here. I have a sailboat, I have a CNC 27. I'm a sailing instructor. That's kind of what I do as a pastime, but it might eventually be a little business here. I actually was just nominated for Women on the Water and was awarded it by Sail Nova Scotia for my contribution to sailing and encouraging women. And so that's always been my thing. I have a lot of female sailors that might not otherwise have been motivated to become captains. The oceans are my lifeblood, I guess. And to learn more and more about what we can do to protect it and preserve and not destroy is important to any of us that make our living at sea. I hope to retire in the near future, and so my home business would be renting the house. And if I can make it happen, to build individual cabins up on my land and to have a little community of cabins that can rent out and eventually sell acre lots, homestead, off-grid, low impact to the environment. And there's a lot of young families moving into the community here. And I also plan on teaching sailing in the summers. La Havre River Yacht Club's just down the road, and I'll be able to teach sailing out of there, and I'm focusing more on women, getting them involved on the water. Eat, Pray, Sail is the name that I am using. People can come here and we will have yoga on the deck as the pray section. The eating section is, I'll be doing some teaching in the kitchen, cooking. And the sailing, of course, is out on the water. After being away for 10 or 11 months at a time, to come home, there's nothing better than to just be here and relax. My house got nicknamed the Mermaid Mansion by some of my sailor girls. I love coming home. Home is sanctuary. Home is where the heart is. And it's a place of safety and refuge.
My name is Chris Gibbs. I'm a resident here in Deep Cove. I've been here for a few years now. I built this place in 2014. It's constructed of ICF material. It's very energy efficient, easy to cool in the summer and easy to heat in the winter as well. The place is also roughed in for geothermal if needed. So down the road, I expect to have a geothermal system in here, as well as some solar. This place is facing a good amount of sun. I designed that way and I picked that way. 2 degrees off where I wanted it, but close enough. I grew up not too far from here. I was looking for a second home, a place that was a good sheltered port of refuge, so to speak. This area drew me due to its deep cove. That's a great place to come in a storm. We're right at the mouth of Mahone Bay. It's great for boating. There's over 300 islands in Mahone Bay to explore, so it makes for an ideal boating area. So a line of work that I do, I'm a master mariner. I'm a captain by trade and license. This is the ideal spot for a mariner. It's part of my roots as well. I'm an 8th generation seafarer as well. So it's a natural habitat for me, obviously, where it's on the water, it's sheltered, it's a calm place to be. We have a good vantage point of the cove. I can see a lot of the vessels coming in on a daily basis, and a lot of them leaving. It's a welcoming community. A lot of friendly people here, willing to help at any given time. It has a nice feel here. So as soon as you walk in the door, you come through the front hallway, and it opens up to my favorite room, which is the great room, as I would call it. It has beautiful views. It has a lot of windows, a lot of sunlight. At night, you can even see the stars through the window as well. I'm very focused and interested in astronavigation. So the stars aren't just the stars to me, they're for navigation. I could see those out the window and identify what planets or what stars I'm looking at. What most people like when they come into the house is the fireplace. It's a bit of a focal point. I've even roasted chestnuts on this at Christmas with some family and friends. We've even done a pizza in there. The kitchen's got a countertop or a bar top type eat-in with bar stools. The kitchen is complete with a wine fridge, as well as complete with the ice maker and water that comes from the ground here from the mountain. So the theme of the house is basically a vintage type nautical design. A lot of woods, a lot of different types of woods and hardwoods, and some that you would find on a ship. The table's made of some shipbuilding material, as well as some of the trim in the house. There's several paintings and pictures on the walls that kind of capture that sort of theme. As a conversation piece, I have a display case of various knots that you'd find are being used on a ship of any type. Some of the knots are labeled incorrectly, so I put it up there. I left it up there to see if anybody would catch any of the discrepancies. So any seafarers that come over can usually identify and pick out the issues or the mistakes on the display. It's a beautiful drive coming down here. It passes a few beaches, a few rocky coastlines, and it's a bit of a diverse kind of area for the type of shorelines that are here. Some nice views of Mahone Bay as I come around. Yeah, as I pull in the driveway, it gives me a sense of peace that I'm home. As you come up to the front door, you have the option of coming in the door, or you can come right around the wraparound deck, complete with glass. So we're about 60 feet from the water here on the front deck. It's 160 degrees of water views here. Bird's eye view of everything. I can see my dock, I can see my boat, I can see the tide. The tide is something that we as mariners really focus on. I've been following the tide since I was 8 years old. When I was younger, that would be the ideal time to go swimming in coves. The tide would be in, be a little easier to jump off docks and wharfs and stuff like that. So the deck itself, it's a wonderful spot to have a coffee in the morning or a glass of wine in the evening, overlooking either the sunrise or the sunset. They're both amazing here. We can have dinner outside, we can have bonfires, we can do anything that you can imagine here. So it's all very relaxing. Plus, in this area, there's very limited, if any, light pollution. The stars are very, very bright, very vibrant. You can see a lot of the night sky on a clear night. There's a lot of sun that comes here every day, and there's also a lot of shade on the other side. So if we need to get out of the sun, there's a place to go to keep cool as well. We don't worry about the weather too much in here because it's sheltered and it's always protected. It's a great port of refuge here. You can see it from the deck. You can see the wind direction, obviously, from the way the water's moving here. It's something I just keep an eye on when I go for my morning coffee on the front deck. So I left a lot of the property treated just to allow some privacy here, but also I didn't want to disrupt the natural view or the natural area of the cove here. The property is complete with a pathway down to the water, so it meanders down through some hardwood trees. It comes down to a slab, which was poured where my floating dock connects to. So there's the ramp connected to the dock is designed as such that it respects the tidal range here. It's not too steep, even at the lowest of tides. So with the vessel or my boat that's tied up alongside of the dock at all times, there's also a swim ladder. We do a lot of swimming here, a lot of paddle boarding, a lot of kayaking, and also a lot of fishing. It's not unheard of for us to catch squid here, bring them up, clean them, and cook ourselves some calamari for supper as a treat. There's also a lot of mackerel here as well. So this is kind of a bit of a mackerel mecca, so to speak. It's really important for me to have access to the water. I work, live, and play on the water. I need to be around it all the time. I'm drawn by the ocean. It's part of me. The day starts here pretty relaxing. When I'm here, I'm off, so I'm not working. I start obviously with the coffee, get a little bit of fuel to get things started in the morning, maybe a couple. and go out on the deck, see how things are, see what the weather's like. Obviously weather dependent or seasonal dependent. I'll have a fire in the morning or keep that fire going from the night before. It's nice to sit by the fire in the morning with a cup of coffee or even a glass of wine in the evening. It's very, very relaxing for anybody who's here. So I have a lot of vintage nautical stuff here. I have old charts that are actually used for navigation or have been used for navigation in the area and other places in the world. I have some antique type of ancillary type of equipment for navigation, such as a replica sextant. It's not something that's practiced much anymore for celestial navigation, but it's nice to demonstrate to people who come over. If it's seasonal, where my vessel or my boat's in the water, I'll take a look at the cove, assess to see what the sea conditions are like and see if it's suitable for a nice day on the water. We'll take the boat out for exploring the various islands. There's beaches basically on every island here, so we'll anchor, or we'll tie up, or we'll pull the boat to the shore. We'll have a lunch, we'll have a barbecue. It's really nice. It's very accommodating in this area for boating. There's a lot of other boaters around, so if there's any issues or what have you, there's always somebody to help in your time of need. No, so it's nice. There's a nice sense of boating community here. A lot of people recognize other people's boats. They know where they're coming from. They know what areas people live in by identifying their boats, so they know who they are. It's a nice feel. So living on the water obviously gives me a sense of peace all the time. So I know what to expect with the water. I treat it with respect as well, because it can come up quick and it can go down real quick. They say it's like a cat in your lap. You can pet it and it'll purr, but one of these days it's gonna jump up and bite you. I think most people are drawn by the water naturally. Yeah, it's something that gives me peace. I'm sure it gives everybody else peace too. It also gives you privacy too. You know there's nobody going to be living on the water side that you're living at, so. Every day is different when you're looking at the water, so there's no 2 days that are the same, ever. So it gives a bit of dynamic sort of view every single day. Future additions or renovations, I'd like to open up the loft on the top here. It'd be nice to have another area which would even provide even more ocean views and a good vantage point from the other side. I like to put a nice garage here as well. There's just a concrete slab poured down by the shore for a future boathouse. So it's designed anticipating that construction down the road. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever leave this place. It is home for me. It gives me a lot of peace here. I was involved in basically every part of the design and the construction, from the clearing of the land right down to the final product. So this is my home. This is my roots. This is where I belong.
Whether nestled alongside a riverbank or perched high above a distressed ocean, living on the shore has its perks. But beautiful views are only the beginning. The sights, sounds, and sensations of the water are constant in their impact, improving moods, perspectives, and lives. To exist and grow on its edge is extraordinary, an experience made even sweeter when shared with the people we love.
Yeah, maybe you should come home. You've been saying it for so long.